Devlin, Untamed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Platform.
Welcome to the iOS podcast. iOS, it's only sport. Martin Devlin at Lachlan War. Putting together some of the best bits from our show today airs between 1 and 4 on the platform. The Crusaders take care of business. Was it ever in any doubt? The greatest rugby side ever to come out of this country other than the All Blacks. The Warriors. How are you feeling now, Warriors fans? You see, this is where the S gets R, isn't it? Everything gets real from here because now it's not just, a team that is playing really well and filling us full of pride. Now it's a side that has to make the top 6 on current form. Suddenly we are that good. And over the last few days, has your position changed at all about New Zealand football and the All Whites abandoning that match against Qatar? So in the end, this substantial racial slur wasn't actually that insulting to Michael Boxall, the guy that it got said to, and he says, I wasn't actually that offended by it. Should we still have walked off the field? And how scary is it that FIFA now have the moral high ground and they get to decide how and when they punish us? But as always, to start the program, tablets in hand, I say gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. Let's boo to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Boo, boo, boo. Is it okay to boo? Of course it's okay to boo. Boo away, you booers, if you want to boo. Boo, boo. So much hand-wringing, so many comments, so much social media. Who cares? Over the crowd reaction before, during, and particularly after the Super Rugby final in Hamilton. Look, if people in the crowd want to boo, let them boo. Oh, but it's not sportsmanlike. No, it's not for you, and it's not necessarily for me, but I don't mind if people boo. Did it put the Crusaders off? Boo, boo. Didn't look as though it did. Did it put Richie Mwanga off when he was taking goal kicks? Boo! No, it didn't look as though it did. Did it help create an atmosphere that meant there was a real home advantage for the Chiefs? Yes. Did it help the Chiefs? In the end, they didn't win the game. Should you be allowed to boo the referee? Well, it's not be allowed to boo the referee. They just booed the referee. People stayed around afterwards and the on-field presentation was drowned out by a whole lot of boos. Was that fair? Probably not. In actual fact, I actually thought Ben O'Keefe made most of the right calls. The forward pass, everyone got absolutely wrong. But Anton Leonard-Brown should have been red carded. That is a red card at the World Cup. And if he doesn't understand that and anyone else doesn't understand that, well, you're going to get a hell of a shock at the World Cup because you put in a tackle like that, you're off. And at the World Cup, there's none of this come back on after 20 minutes load of pony. You're going to go for good. So, yeah, it's disrespectful to boo the ref. And, but it's a hell of a lot better than being some anonymous abusing twat on social media hiding behind your Kylie Bunny 13 false ID bollocks. I mean, look, any cretin that has got on Ben O'Keefe's Instagram or any of those other Lions people's Instagram or social media and posted messages, what a coward. What a coward you are. Identify who you are. Identify where you work. So the same treatment can be dished out in reverse because you wouldn't do it if that's the case. But hey, you paid your money. You're part of the crowd. If you want to boo, boo away. I don't do it. You don't do it. Good for you. But if you do. Boo-hoo.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The Platform.
111 time, 0800 debate is our number, 5050 on the text. Some of them that have come in. Susan says, go the Crusaders. The ref was awesome, poor loser. See, to the winner, the spoil, Susan. I agree there. I didn't think the ref was that bad. The forward pass was. But also, Anton Leonard-Brown should have got a red card. As always, so we kickstart the show. Sports news, Lachlan. And tell me that Walshy's going to go for at least 4 weeks because he should. Homophobic slur, 4 weeks. You call the ref that, you go for 4 weeks.
Yeah, you call him an F and C, then Well, you should get at least 4. I'd actually agree with that. Despite him being on my Broncos team, who, for the time being, we're on a break. Me and the Broncos.
Oh, are you really?
We're on a break. We've had some differences over the weekend.
Okay,
we had a bit of an argument yesterday.
I can understand.
It was a good 2 hours, that argument, between about 4 and 6 p.m.
I watched most of it.
Yes, and I got to say, you would have heard it from your house. And I got to say, we're not seeing each other at the moment.
You can always tell when somebody's actually a little sulky. So when you text them during a game and say, hasn't started too well for your lot, has it? And then it's about 18 minutes before you get a reply. And then the next text that you fire, it's 2 hours, 18 minutes before you get a reply. Yeah. And I do needle.
Yeah, you do.
I do niggle.
Well, all you text me was Titans at full time. Anyway. Emotions aside, we'll start off with rugby. Spectacular final of the weekend. I managed to crawl my way across 2 pubs to watch. I was at the Greyland RSA on Saturday night.
Brilliant place to watch.
Great place, great crowd, a real mix of people, young'uns, oldies, all sorts. It was great. And
good food too.
Oh, I had a beef and bacon cheese. Oh, it was sensational.
Cheap jugs of piss.
Cheap, very cheap, and they went down quite nicely.
Just be respectful when you go in there, people. When you go into the RSA, make sure you sign in. Do the right thing, okay? Sign in. Be respectful.
Yep. Referee Ben O'Keefe, who called the game on Saturday night, he was booed along with his assistants by some Chiefs support, by many Chiefs supporters after the Crusaders Super Rugby Pacific final victory. Ben O'Keefe has been subjected to a tirade of abuse on social media. The majority of recent posts on his Instagram page today are derogatory, with some accusing the referee of making money from the game and one outright threatening, saying, the mob's coming for you.
Yeah, right, okay. And that person has got their full name there, have they? No. They're hiding behind a pseudonym, are they?
Probably.
Yes.
But that's... You can boo all you want, you can disagree with some decisions, but when you get to this point where you're actually having a go at them with social media...
Put your proper name beside it.
Yeah, well, actually say it to his face as well.
Let people know who you are.
First, do his job and then criticise.
My thing always was when I was doing talkback radio, especially on like News Talk ZB, and we get a lot of texts, was that, and I have tried, just Google it, where I've rung people up and tried to get them on the air and put their phone numbers out. Because if you're going to abuse me at work, I can come and abuse you at work. Simple as, right? Oh, that stops it straight away, doesn't it? Yep. Anyway, Ben, you did a great job, pal.
Yep. And I think all 3 yellow cards were very fairly dealt. And the yellow first one to end on a letter brown probably should have been a red. Should have been a red.
Well, he's been cited. That means it is a red.
Yeah. NRL news, the Dragons have blocked Ben Hunt's request for a release from his contract after a meeting today. Club brass decided against letting Hunt walk after the meeting with the Stars management and incoming coach Shane Flanagan. I applaud the Dragons. Good on you. Don't let him leave. Brisbane Broncos star Reece Walsh has been referred to the judiciary on an ungraded contrary conduct charge. Walsh must now front the judiciary tomorrow night, where he will learn his fate. Should he receive a 2-game ban, he would miss out on State of Origin Game 3, though he might not be selected just because they've already won the series. But yeah, so not good, not a good day for Reece Walsh. Yeah, when you call the ref an effing C, you probably deserve to get a bit of a ban. The Manly Seagulls, apparently they were in pursuit of Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. I didn't know this, but they've ended such pursuit. Tom Trebojevic, their star fullback, got injured in State of Origin Game 2. He's going to be out for a while with a pec injury. The Seagulls coach Anthony Seibold put Tuivasa-Sheck's name forward as a potential replacement for the remainder of this season. Of course, Roger's heading to the Warriors next year, heading back to the Warriors. However, after speaking following Manly's 24-6 defeat to the Melbourne Storm, Seibold ruled out Tuivasa-Sheck making an early NRL return, saying he's not available. Reason being, Roger wants to play NPC, apparently. That's why. Wellington golfer Daniel Hillier has claimed his best result on the European Tour after finishing in a 4-way tie for third at the BMW International Open in Munich. Hillier finished 2 strokes behind winner Tristan Lawrence of South Africa at 11 under for the tournament after carding a 1 under 71 during a dramatic final round. The men's Black Sticks played the best team in the world, the Netherlands, this morning. They were up 2-0. They ended up losing 3-2, though, in the FIH Pro League match, as I say earlier today. They did lose to the Netherlands 4-0 way back in January, so that's a bit of an improvement. Not bad from the New Zealand men's side. And finally, this one's just a little bit strange. Khalidou Koulibaly is a Chelsea centre-back. He was signed last season. While he's already left the club, he's on his way to Saudi Arabia, a transfer to Al Hilal for an undisclosed fee. And the Saudis buying up star footballers is very much continuing. Former Liverpool player Roberto Firmino is apparently going to Saudi Arabia as well, which as a Liverpool fan, I don't like the sound of. Anyway, Martin, for the time being, that's what's making news.
Devlin.
Oh my goodness me!
The platform.
Bloody listen to them, 7 in a row. Let me just check this. I think that's the 14th title for the Crusaders since 1998. That's the 12th full Super Rugby title. Then in 2020, it was just the New Zealand competition. And then in 2021, there's the New Zealand competition, which they won. But then the Australian competition, they missed out on points differential. You know all this, Marshy. Welcome back, mate. You must be feeling delighted.
Yeah, thanks, Debs. Absolutely. And what a fantastic game, first and foremost. You know, the Chiefs really brought a hefty challenge to the Crusaders, and equally incredibly satisfying for Scott Robertson. You know, the likes of Sam White, Richie Mo'unga, Lester Fainganuku, Jack Goodhue, you know, guys that have put a lot into that jersey to be able to go out on such a high note.
Okay, let us start with Razor, you know, because now he goes on to the All Blacks job. It was the perfect send-off for him. Once again, he deflects everything. I love this guy. I love what he brings to the game. Justin, I also think he's a very, very clever coach in that, I'm not going to call them antics, but the way that he behaves, some of his press conferences and things, I know he's deflecting from the players. He creates a bit of attention around himself. I believe that he actually is probably a different presence when he's just in the presence of those players.
Oh, absolutely. And you can see that the players, they want to play for the jersey first and foremost. They want to play for their teammates. But equally, when you've got a coach like that brings out the best in players, they want to play for him as well. And I think that's the recipe that he's managed to create in the time that he's been to the Crusaders. They were still a force to be reckoned with when Todd Blackadder had them.
Yep.
But just hadn't, you know, managed to get to that final and win it. They'd been to a final and lost it. They were successful enough. But Razor just tapped in to that inner person within the Crusaders. He brought back a little bit of the old school values that he thought that had gone missing. And he just, as a coach, that, yeah, you're right. He's quite happy to take all of the attention. He's quite happy to deflect when he needs to. But most importantly, he knows how to get the job done. And he knows how to get the players in the right headspace, particularly for finals rugby.
Justin, the reason that we have you on, you're an 81 Test veteran of the All Blacks. You've been to the mountaintop. You've climbed all of that. You know. So when you talk about he knows how to get inside the players, just in your own experience of coaches you've worked with and that, what is that exactly? Tell us something, mate, that we don't know. How does a coach do that?
Well, basically, he's got to get the players believing, and he's got to get them out of bed every day. It's an easy recipe to get a rugby player to be up for a semi-final or a final. But from week to week, getting them out of bed to get to training, to think about, the process of getting through that regularly, you have to create an environment that makes them want to do that. And that's what Razor does. He's got this ability for them to be excited about coming to work, regularly changing the picture for them, continually setting goals and theming weeks, theming a week where they're playing the Blues, tapping back into history, looking at what the players can galvanise around for that working week so that they are up for every single minute that they are putting that jersey on, regardless of playing. And, he is able to do that and treat each individual in a way that they just want to go out and train and play as a Crusader.
A lot has been said about the booing, the crowd reaction and that, and I know that Will Jordan said afterwards something along the lines that he hadn't seen anything like. I applaud the Hamilton crowd for giving it to you guys, giving it to the Crusaders. That's the whole point of it. The thing is, though, mate, but let's talk about the refs separately to this, because I didn't like that at the end, but that's just me. But you've been in these situations where you've won away from home. I mean, you went to Africa in '99 and won a semi, then had to go down party at Tony Brown's place. What is it about just that mentality when the whole crowd's against you like that? Why do you like it so much, you Christchurch lot?
Well, I think, mate, throughout the season, when we've been chatting, and I've said this regularly, I've said, often on this show that the way that the season's unfolding, it looks very much like the Chiefs are going to sit on top of the pedestal. They're going to get a home semi and a home final. And I said, really, the Crusaders, by their own fault and admission that they dropped the Endrua game, which ultimately probably cost them an opportunity to get a final at home, I deep down thought that it'll be the perfect storm for them, because the Chiefs are on fire. They're pretty much unbeaten, only dropping one game. All the pressure will be on them. They will finish top of the log. They're a great team. They've beaten the Crusaders twice. It's the perfect recipe for that Crusaders culture to just sneak into town and ambush the final. And it's what we do. It's what Crusaders do. It's that underdog tag that started all the way back in 1998 when we weren't expected to win our first three finals simply because the other sides were better organised. They probably had more talent. But that's what makes Crusaders tick. going into that environment with that crowd. Yes, they're going to boo you. Yes, the cowbells are going to go. And that's perfect because you use that to motivate you. And you are the one without the pressure. The other team is the one with 30,000 people watching them, expecting them to win a final. And you can sneak into town and pull their pants down if you're good enough.
Sam Whitelock, and we've been talking about this all year. You know, this, I've got to I can only play 5 games, load of bollocks, and then I've got to have a rest. I know he's coming off 2 weeks. Here's a guy with an Achilles heel injury, and at the 70-minute mark, he was smashing into Brodie Retallick, and I was looking at the two of them going, go on, son. This is Fraser and Ali, 15 rounds, and we're still smacking each other. I was standing and applauding.
Yeah, me too. And that's the engine that Sam Whitelock possesses, isn't it? And equally so does Brodie Retallick. But, you know, that type of player is exactly what the Crusaders, when you want to ask about culture and people are trying to tap into the DNA and they go, what is this word culture? What are the Crusaders able to tap into that no other team can? Just stand Sam Whitelock in front of you in his Crusaders kit and look at him. And that is what a Crusaders man is, and that is what the culture is about. That was an incredible performance for a guy that hadn't been playing. But no one was surprised, were they? Because that's the type of player and the type of man that he is.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. Moan. I'm moaning sick all the time. New Zealand football, we deserve an explanation here. You can't keep hiding away behind FIFA investigations and until due process is carried out and do the big duck and dive anymore. Not when the guy, Michael Boxall, the subject of a supposed significant racial slur, those are the words of the NZF CEO Andrew Pragnell. Now Boxall says, I didn't really take great offence to it and it's not something I take personally. Well, why the hell did we abandon the match then? Why all the dramatics and why all the theatrics? Yes, I understand the emotion of the moment, but that's when calm heads come to the fore. In hindsight, the captain Joe Bell and the CEO Andrew Pragnell both dropped the ball badly here. Has your opinion changed about this at all in the last few days? Because it damn well should have. The All Whites abandoned their match against Qatar, saying one of our players had been racially abused. And because the referee refused to take any action, the players decided it was their role, their right, their duty to do so. A significant racial slur, we were told. But New Zealand football won't tell us what it was and why it was so bad we had to pull the walk-off stunt that we did, which on reflection looks more like an overreaction to something that we should have left the match officials and the proper channels to deal with. Boxall again. I'm sure it's a slur he uses colloquially every day. I think it's one of those things you can't allow on a football field. What he's saying is the guy used the N-word and used it in a way that he believes this guy would probably use it in everyday language. That's different from a racial insult, and we all know that. But you cannot allow a team to default or forfeit or abandon a match just because they think they've been aggrieved. And what seemed so cut and dried and noble and righteous last Tuesday now look as though it's going to bite us in the butt. FIFA have the moral high ground, and they can be self-righteous, not us.
Devlin,
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
the platform.
We have issues.
We need to talk. We need to talk.
I'm the Minister of Common Sense, and so I get to decide. I get to decide what we're talking about. I also get to decide what the answer is at the end of what it is that we're talking about, because I'm the Minister of Goddamn Common Sense. Lachlan, did the refs cost the Chiefs the game?
No.
Let me repeat the question. Did the refs cost the Chiefs the game?
No.
The answer is no.
Next!
Was that a forward pass in the play before the play that led to Mwanga's try?
Yes.
Yes, it was. We all know it was. We all saw it was. They didn't see it. They missed it.
Next!
Was that, in fact, a game changer?
No. I don't think so.
Can the Chiefs blame that for the loss?
No, not at all. No, not at all. The Chiefs hit the front by 5 points with about 15 minutes to go, didn't they? Well, they had a 5-point lead around that mark. So, no, not at all.
Was that
Next!
a legitimate try to Damien McKenzie, or the letter of the law said that he was offside?
He was offside.
He
It's
was
not a
inside.
try. It was as Justin said, it was a brilliant try. It was not legal, though.
Okay.
Next!
Did you think McKenzie was going to kick that penalty from just inside his own?
No, I thought it was too far.
You thought it was too
I
far?
really thought it. And, I mean, it's funny. The screen I was watching was very pixelated and fuzzy. I was at a real old-fashioned tavern at this point of the night. So I couldn't tell if the weather was bad. But my thought at the time was conditions aren't great, I think. And it's just too
Probably
far.
at the end of his range? Just at the end of his range, yeah.
Considering how, not to be rude to him, considering how little he is, he's actually got...
I mean, he thumps it.
Yeah, he gets some real distance on his kicks.
He's got 50 metres on him. Text has come in. Hey, Devlin, what were your thoughts on Sam Cane on and off the field on Saturday night? Yours on that. Mine first is that this is the All Black captain. He can't get a yellow card in the last 10 minutes. I also thought his impact on the game wasn't as big as what I thought it was. And from the 65th minute, I thought that the breakdown was I agree with Justin, by the Crusaders. That's not an entire reflection on Sam Cane, but I am worried going into a World Cup because I don't think our loose forward trio has set itself in stone yet for the All Blacks.
Well, the yellow card was quite frustrating because it was just a brain snap. I mean, there's why he went in and picked up that ball thinking it was free for him to grab when it was in the ruck. Makes no sense. And so the All Black captain doing that late stages of a game when you've got a slender lead, it was actually quite infuriating. In terms of his overall performance, he wasn't bad. He's had a great year, Sam, but based on the level that he's been performing at, it was a little lower. But so was the whole team, or at least the whole forward pack. I don't think the Chiefs have a better, at least man-to-man, I think have a better forward pack, and they didn't at least impose that dominance the way that I think they should.
Were the 3 yellow cards justified?
Yes, absolutely.
They were
justified. If anything, one of them should have, as we said, should have been a red.
Should he have got a red, Anton?
Yes, he should have.
Yes, he should have. And now that he's been cited by the judiciary, that is evidence that, listen, whether we agree with the rule or whether we don't agree with the rule makes zero difference. The letter of the law, as it will be policed at the World Cup, is a red. And that costs you a quarter-final.
And as soon as he was binned, I was annoyed and frustrated, and I tweeted saying, this is ridiculous, rugby's screwed, I mean, there's no intent, blah, blah, blah. And then I sort of looked at it and thought, well, the law says this,
The law says this.
And actually, not only should it be a yellow, you should probably be sent off for that.
Red. Is it okay for the fans to boo those referees in that circumstance? See, I don't mind them booing during the game, but I think that's pretty disrespectful. I don't like that. I wouldn't. If it was me, I'd give
I wouldn't do it.
I'd give you heaps during the game, but afterwards.
I mean, if it's like a Wayne Barnes 2007 situation,
Wayne Barnes,
then okay, sure, with a few drinks and you'd probably do it. I don't like booing in general, unless there's something genuinely ridiculously absurd with some of the officiating. I'm not a fan of that in general.
Next. Should the fans have booed Cody Taylor when he received the trophy?
No. Why?
Well, because obviously they're still pissed about the refereeing decisions and they're sulking.
You're pissed that a better team beat you on the day?
Next. Should they have booed the Crusaders as they took the field? Yes, absolutely. If you're standing at Anfield and we take the field, you're giving it to us hard, mate.
I'm not booing pre-match. If you win and you're walking down the tunnel, I'll boo then.
Let's just see what you like at the Rabbits-Warriors game on Friday.
I've got no horse in the race.
You are coming as a Warriors fan?
No.
Oh, listen to the bitter Bronco man there.
If my team can't win, no team can win. The most joyous thing for me, if my Broncos can't win, is that if we lose, as long as the Warriors are losing, because there are a lot of unhappy fans in New Zealand.
Brendan Bradford from CodeSports.au joins us. Everything's changed now, pal. Tell me about the Warriors. Is this now a team that should as opposed to could?
Yeah, I'm starting to taste it. It's getting so close. I was down there in Wollongong on Friday, and one of the best performances I've seen in the flesh from the Warriors in a number of years. Just a really complete performance. As bad as the Dragons are or were, really positive signs for the Warriors. Sitting in fifth right now, 22 points. It's 2 points off first, but it's a real logjam between first and sort of 12th. There's only about 6 odd points, but fifth on the table, still got a bye to come. People are starting to talk about top 4, and it could happen.
Are the Warriors getting this kind of legitimacy in Australia from Australian commentators now?
Yeah, as of the last couple of weeks. The Daily Telegraph today, Buzz Rothfield's got almost a full-page spread talking about how they're based. The spine is basically rejects from other clubs. Sean Johnson unwanted at the Sharks, Chance from the Raiders, kind of thing, and how Andrew Webster's turned them around. He had got an interview with Webster, calling him the favourite for Dally M Coach of the Year. They're starting to make people sit up and take notice. We've been talking about the turnaround and stuff for a couple of months now, but that's started to get traction now. But certainly, it's definitely finals is at least top 6 and maybe even top 4. That's what we're talking about.
There is just 4 points separating first from ninth. Then you've got a cluster of teams on 18 points after that. It is the closest competition we have seen in years. And the Warriors' next 4 or 5 games, all with playing teams, points that are around them, very, very close to them. So we're going to know a hell of a lot more in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. Some of the topsy-turvy results from the weekend. There's a Broncos side that plays the Titans, and this Titans side is so goddamn hot and cold. And a dumb Broncos side that, I don't know, they lost their heads, they lost their rag, and epitomised by Reece Walsh. Now, this is really serious, and I don't know what's happened from this, but when you call the referee an effing C and a cheat, we've had a precedent set before where players have gone for a skate, they've been sent off. Why did nothing happen with that, and is that going to go now to the judiciary?
So it's gone sent straight to the tribunal. The judiciary sheet's just come out in the last sort of 20 minutes. Like you say, we've seen cases in the past. He could easily be rubbed out of Origin 3. He'll miss some game time for sure. There's a bit of social media chat. He put something up. Reece Walsh put something up, and Adam Reynolds also put something up, trying to say that he wasn't talking to the ref. He was talking to a Titan player.
Whatever.
I don't know. I don't know whether that'll come up or if they've got video evidence to support this. But
the referee thought it was him. The referee turned around to the captain and said he does it again. He's gone, right?
Yeah, well, he should have been gone. If you say that to a ref, you should be gone. Even at that stage of the game, the frustration was building up, and I lost track of how many tries the Broncos were denied in that game. I think it was 4, maybe, from the TMO. But yeah, you just can't do it. And look, and then going off from, he was marched Origin last week for the sort of late match scuffle. It is something that is in his game that I think he'll probably mature out of. He's still only 20, 21, something like that. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's rubbed out for a couple of weeks and might not play Origin 3.
The 2 teams on a tear at the moment. Let's acknowledge the Eels, 5 in a row. How dangerous an opponent are they now?
Yeah, huge. And they've scored, they're averaging, over the past month, they're averaging something like 32 points scored a game. And that's after Dylan Brown was suspended. So something's clicked. One of those things, if we go back to sort of April, May, and I was saying, look, the Eels are going to come good. The Eels are good. They'll be fine. It looks like this is their run. But yeah, it's absolutely working out. It feels like start of the year. They made the grand final last year, and there's a lot of expectation, a lot of they were under the spotlight quite a lot. They lose a few games, there's a bit of pressure, but they've just mounted up these wins pretty quietly, just gone about their business.
Yeah.
So I think, but people sort of take the pressure off, take the spotlight off. They've only had one bye too, so really, that's a few extra points. So they're coming good, the Eels.
And the Cowboys, who have beaten the Panthers, the Storm, and now the Rabbits in their last 3 games. I mean, this is a side, I think the Warriors should be counting their lucky stars that we played them twice already and beaten them twice. They've won 8, they've lost 8. Bizarre, isn't it? Because when you just kind of think, I keep looking down the bottom of the ladder for them, but here they are now poised. They are just a win away from actually making the top 8 themselves.
Yeah, you don't have to go back too long ago, and you're sort of looking at Todd Payton being under a bit of pressure, especially after that Tigers loss at Leichhardt Oval about a month ago. But yeah, again, it's teams like the Cowboys, the Titans, even Manly from week to week, where you just don't know what they're going to throw out. They're going to put beat the Rabbitohs by 20 odd points. But then. They'll go out and lose to the Tigers. It's just absolutely bizarre. And the game against the Panthers the other week, I actually watched it. I was on the Gold Coast covering Tim Zoo's fight, and we watched it out at the pub. And Gold Coast can't get further away from Townsville and still be in Queensland, but the whole pub was going for the Cowboys. It's one of those ones where if you're from Queensland, you just go for the Queensland team. And that one went to extra time, and it was a fantastic game. So, the Cowboys. I don't know. I still don't trust them. I don't know whether they consistently can keep this up until the finals, but they're certainly making it interesting.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
The Tide 5.
5 separate sporting topics, roughly a minute on each. When the bell goes ding, we will move on to the next one. I'll explain more about this and what I believe Pragnell should have done as opposed to what he did do. That'll be one of the topics. Reece Walsh in front of the judiciary. Should the crowd have booed as much as they did? I think we've probably covered that. We may revisit that topic. Warriors, do you believe now, Lachlan? Are you convinced right now? Because we're going this Friday for the Rabbits game. Colin Mansbridge, what do you think about that guy? RTS is going to play NPC. Let's start with the All Whites here. And yeah, I have totally reversed the truck back down the driveway on this. I'm not saying that something wasn't said on the field. But when Michael Boxall, who's a pretty tough nut himself, says afterwards, and this is what is so disappointing, when Boxall says afterwards, I wasn't that offended by it. And he calls it a colloquial slur. Now, Andrew Pragnell, the CEO of New Zealand Football, says it was a significant racial slur. He won't say what it was. There's only two things that could have been said on the field that would have made our guys react the way that they did. They reacted instantly, right? They reacted offended and instantly to it. One of them is the N-word. The other is calling somebody the blah-C. Those are the only two things. When you're talking about significant racial slurs, there's not 100 different versions of this, Lachlan. There's only a couple of things that can be said. You're talking about heat of the moment. Men clashing on a field. Guy goes down for free kick. One of our guys would have said, get up, you ponce, or something like that at him, right? That guy turned around and said, F off. And I'm pretty sure he said F off N.
Yeah, the N-word, yeah.
That's what he said.
It's got to be a short, sharp word that immediately gets people's attention.
Now, this guy is an African Qatari man. So he's, as black as the ace of spades. I say that with love in my heart. But he's saying the N-word because what Boxall says is it was a colloquial slur. And what Boxall's intimating there, and I think it's very clear, that guy probably calls his mates that word. Hey, dog, hey, N. Yeah. Because he thinks he's a rap star or something, right? I mean, that's a lot of the young people talk to each other. My kids used to do this, and I drummed it out of them. I said, stop doing that. Stop talking like that. Stop saying that bloody word.
That word was thrown around my school.
So you'd actually say to each other, you'd walk up in the playground and say, hey, N, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, not proud of it now, but yeah.
So that was what was said to Boxall. So that's why he wasn't as offended. So who the hell was offended in that New Zealand dressing room to get themselves so over-aroused to the stage that they decided to pull a stunt like not going back on the field?
Well, my guess would be the two guys who are at the forefront of the pictures and the footage during the game. It's funny because Boxall, you can see in the during the game when the word is said and there's a coming together between the players. He's not at the front of it, having a go at the guy and pointing at him and saying, what the heck are you saying? What's wrong with you? It's gross. It's disgusting. He's kind of in the background looking annoyed and unhappy, but it's the captain, Joe Bell, and it's Billy, is it Billy Tuiloma? Is that his name?
Yeah, Tuiloma.
I think he's the other guy. Excuse me if I got that wrong. And they're at the front really having a go at this guy. So they're the two I would assume then are the ones parading once they get in the locker room, hey, let's make a statement here and whatnot. What
Andrew Pragnell should have done is, as a CEO, this is what you expect from a CEO. The man has no experience in this position, okay, and that's reality. He is a pen pusher, and with all due respect...
Well, in his defence, not many people have experience in that position.
But he comes from Sport New Zealand, and he is one of those career management type people, okay? So he got a phone call at halftime. If he was an experienced CEO, this is how he should have actually behaved. He should have actually paused, taken stock, thought about long-term consequences, thought about worst possible outcomes, thought about what happens from here, and his job is to protect New Zealand football, protect the team. He needed to press pause on that and say, you guys go out and play and I'll deal with this. But instead, he overreacted like Joe Bell did, and now we're in a situation where we have left it up to FIFA to decide, and FIFA can fine us, they can suspend our team, and they're perfectly justified now in doing it. Because as soon as the referee said, I didn't hear, And now that doesn't mean it didn't take place. That doesn't mean it's not offensive. But what it does mean is if he didn't hear, justice isn't a one-way street. You can't throw somebody off the field and red card them if you didn't hear what was said.
It's like accusing someone of a crime, but there's no evidence.
There is no evidence.
Well, you can't say it.
Unfortunately, that's the way that justice works. If there is no evidence. Reece Walsh has developed a side of his personality when he's on the field. He is a moaning little brat, is what he is. He bitches and moans and mouths the whole time. What has to happen now?
Okay, steady on. He does. He mouths off a bit.
He does.
He mouths off a bit.
He mouths off a lot.
He mouths off a bit. I watch every Broncos game. He's only really done it the last couple of weeks.
He's done it the last couple of weeks, mate.
Yeah.
And now he's getting to the stage where he's calling the ref and FNC.
Well, okay. He's come out on Instagram.
Here we go. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Listen to Mr. Defence.
I'm being the devil's advocate. He's come out on Instagram and said, yes, I made these comments. It's wrong. I shouldn't have done it. But just to clear things up, I directed it at a player, not the ref. Now, I would say, no, that's BS. I don't believe you. The only reason why I think he might have a point is if the ref knew that Walsh was saying that to him, the ref would have sent him from the field, without a doubt. But he didn't. So I'm wondering if the ref knew he said that to a player, but if you say those words again on my field, I'm setting you off. But he should be suspended because you're right. It doesn't happen a lot, but it's happened the last couple of weeks. He does moan and he does bitch at the referees, his rulings on the field. And when you're a kid, you shouldn't do that. He's only 20. But when you're not the captain, you can't do that. There's no way you can do that. I mean, when you're the captain, you shouldn't do it anyway. But when you're not the captain, you have no place doing that. So 1 or 2 or 3 weeks suspension would actually serve him quite well.
We'll ask Brendan Bradford about this shortly. Warriors, do you believe now?
I'd love to go back and get I'd love to go back in pre-season and get some audio. I've got a picture of what my predictions were, and I said that the Warriors will be there or thereabouts for the top 8. I don't know if they'll make it, but they'll be there or thereabouts. And as the year's gone on, I have banged their drum pretty hard. I've said this is a well-run team in the sense that they defend well, they take care of the football. Those are the two things you need to do perfectly in rugby league, and they're doing it. So
do you believe?
I'm not surprised they're doing so well. Will they make top 4? Probably not. Top 6, absolutely. They should be in the top 6. They'll have a home finals game at some point later on in September.
Music to the ears. RTS is going to play NPC. I just... God, this leaves me so
It's kind of admirable, to be fair.
Well,
he's filling out his contract duties.
Exactly, yeah. And I admire Roger for this, but I just, every time the story, and it's going to continually come up over the next few weeks, because when it comes to the NPC, there are no narratives, there are no storylines, and so he is one of the big storylines. And there will be mainstream media articles about, he's there just in case somebody gets injured for the World Cup, and he's not going to the World Cup. I mean, that's absolutely clear now. I feel a little bit sad. I feel a bit let down. I know I shouldn't. It's got nothing to do with me. I wanted so much more from him on a rugby field, but it hasn't happened. And, I mean, really, playing NPC, it just feels such a second division prize for a guy that is as talented as he is.
Thoroughly agreed. He's much better than NPC, which is a competition that has plummeted in terms of its quality the last 10, 15 years. It's admirable because... he could go back to the NRL. There'd be a number of clubs who'll be wanting him, and if he... How
long would it take him, Lachlan, to be able to switch back from rugby to league, do you think?
Well, rugby league is a very simple game by comparison, so I don't think
body
it'll take
shape
him...
the things? And...
No, especially if you're an outside back. No.
Okay, and the rules and things in his head, it's not going to cloud and...
No, it'll be easy to understand. His head would be declouded.
You imagine, thank God I don't have to study this 300-page load of bollocks every night called the rule book. Here we go. Catch it, pass it, run. Yeah. So you think he'd made the transition pretty easy?
Absolutely. We saw Benji Marshall do it. Struggled in rugby, went back to league, was brilliant.
I look forward to it. I really do. I look forward to it. Finally, Colin Mansbridge. What do you think about that? I like the fact he's hungover. I like the fact that he's so honest about how much he loves his job. I like the fact that he was a little intimidated by the crowd in Hamilton, because that's the whole point of a home crowd. I like the fact that these Crusaders players are going to party for a couple of days and then they're going to go into all black camp and all of that kind of stuff. But I like more than anything that they aren't like the Blues players, and not everything they do is on Instagram. I want these guys to party, and I want them to party in private, and I want to hear afterwards some great stories about, well, you know, don't use the trophy as a bottle opener this time, okay, because we know you got in trouble. But you remember a few years back that they ended up doing the parade down the street of Christchurch and the trophy had missed its head or its handles or something like that. Look, that's what you're meant to do, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're meant to go la-la. You're meant to do the Jack Grealish. Get loose on it. Come on.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Let yourselves go.
You've had a a long and tough campaign in many respects, and you've just won it. You deserve a reward for that. You've got to celebrate the highs. You'll endure many lows, so you've got to celebrate the highs.
Colin Mansbridge joins us, CEO of the Crusaders. He's been there, about 5 years now. Big celebrations last night, the night before. Colin, welcome back to the show. How are you?
A bit hungover, Marty, but better than yesterday, that's for sure.
You deserve to be, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you, yeah.
How long do you actually, you celebrate these things? You must have, obviously, on the night, a big barbecue the next day. How does the next week unfold? Do you spend any time together?
The players and the coaching group are spending a bit more time together today, and then we've got as the All Blacks assemble tomorrow, we've got a function this evening to do the players' formal send-off. So that's partners of the players and the back office team, just to say thank you to all of those that have made a contribution in moving on. And then it's actually business as usual. I'm in the office first thing this morning and thinking about what we need to do for next year. So it's not too long. It's short and joyful.
Very sweet indeed. Talk to us about Razor. You've worked with this guy now for a number of years. What is it about him essentially that brings the success that he does, looking from where you sit and as close as you are?
I think he's a rabid optimist is the first thing. So he always believes that he can. And that's infectious. That's absolutely infectious. Now, he leaves nothing to chance. He's not just a man of excitement and vision, and he works hard to make sure it happens. But he's a rabid optimist for a start. I think he's completely invested, and nothing sways him from being invested in that optimism. And so, when you're around him, it's contagious. His contagion it goes right the way through the whole organisation, and it's infectious. People love being around him, enjoy him. He's self-deprecatory. He's fun. He's inspirational. Very, 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 very cool person.
Colin Mansbridge, CEO of the Crusaders, is with us. Does success ever get tiring? I mean, it's a stupid question, but do you ever get used to it? Do you get blasé with it?
I woke up this morning earlier than I probably should have, and starting to think of all the things we haven't quite done yet for prep for next year. Now, we have done a lot of work to think about next year and to think about the handover and to think about the things we want to be replicated next year. But I think I'm really excited about what next year looks like, and so you want to celebrate, you want to reflect, and you want to enjoy, but you really got to think about, right, what do we need to do to make sure that that group that's going to assemble next year is in the best position it can possibly be in to win another championship. So I think that's what it's almost like. It's fear of not being ready is probably what keeps you going, rather than, I don't think you get sick of it. Not at all.
What do you do after all of this, mate? I mean, what is your next job, Colin? You preside over an organisation which is fundamentally based on success and is driven, and as you've said, all the key kind of, I suppose, indicators, all the key performance objectives, all of that kind of stuff. And it never stops. You just said you wake up this morning and you're actually thinking about next year. Where does it end for you, or is this the dream job, or is there another one after this?
No, this is it. This is the one. I think when I got appointed here, I said it felt like, probably what it felt like to be selected for the All Blacks. It felt like that to me here, and I can't think of doing anything else after this. So, maybe another couple of years in it. It'd be nice to go to the new stadium, Te Kaha, and see this new coaching group. Pick up a few titles. That would be pretty cool. But then I don't think I could do a job after this. I just couldn't think of anything that would be as much fun.
That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Unbelievable! Incredible!
The platform.